if you want to get going, you have the reign.
All right, awesome. Well, let's start with a round of introductions first. Let's start on the Montezuma County side so we know who's here with you guys.
Okay, well, I think most of you know me from our Southwest TPR meeting, but I'm Commissioner Candelaria.
And I'm Commissioner Joel Stevenson.
Thank you.
County Administrator Shaq Powers, hiding behind the screen, running things.
Awesome. And then I see a Rob identified on the Zoom call.
Yeah, Road Bridge Superintendent, Montezuma County.
Great, thank you. And then from the Cdot side, we have myself, Julie Constant, the new Region 5 Transportation Director. I started this position on March 1st after Mike McGuire resigned last year. But I believe most of you know I was the traffic engineer for Region 5 for about 4 years before that. Jennifer, do you want to go next?
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Good. Sometimes Zoom isn't very friendly with my computer. I am Jennifer Allison. I am the Region Traffic and Safety Resident Engineer and Acting Traffic Engineer. So Julie's sharing her old duties with me. So.
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
Kevin?
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Curry, the Region 5 Program Engineer.
And Annalise?
Hi everyone, I'm Annalise Van Bono. I'm the Planning Liaison for Region 5.
Great, thank you. And Mike Watson? All right, you're muted, Mike, if you're trying to talk.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Mike Watson, maintenance superintendent here in Durango. I turned on my camera, but it won't work until tomorrow.
Oh.
Can you fix it?
Understood. You must have upgraded recently. Yeah. Matt?
Hi, Matt Mororo, CDOT Regional Planner. My camera works about as well as Mike says.
Awesome. Yeah, understood that. And Linda?
Hi, I'm Linda Marshauser. I am the Administrative Assistant for CDOT Planning Unit.
Thank you, Linda. And then I see someone identified by Kay Purcell on the call.
If she doesn't unmute, she's with Montezuma County. She's our clerk and recorder.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, our agenda this afternoon, no worries. I understand completely. We will first start off with just a general construction update on the projects that CDOT Region 5 has going on around the Southwest TPR area. Then we'll jump into a little bit of planning information that Matt Moraro will cover. And then we'll jump into the topics that you guys submitted for us to discuss with you. So Kevin, do you want to take the reins?
Sure, Matt. Oh, okay, Matt's turn. So I'm not going to, we used to cover projects that were completed, but I'm sure you've all heard and been through the work that's been done. So current work that's ongoing, I'm pretty sure you're aware that we got US 160, the concrete diamond grind job has started. They are currently working in the Durango portion of the project. They just started doing panel repairs and will continue that work with the idea of avoiding the heater remix, which I'll cover in a second here, so that we don't have two projects going on in the same area. So that work is ongoing. It will continue through the summer. Next, in La Plata County, our 160-151 Wildlife Crossing project is under full construction right now. In fact, they are about to set the first precast panels for the underpass tomorrow, and that will start that portion of the work. They'll get that backfilled. Hopefully we'll get the lane shifted over, and then they'll start working on the other side. The overpass will be later in the summer. The 160-550 connection, that is ongoing. I don't know if you've driven 160 past Farmington Hill going east recently and looked up, but you'll see a whole lot of girders up there right now. They have been placing girders which are pretty significant size, 140 feet long and 92 tons each. For the last week and a half, they did another set today, and I believe there's another set scheduled for Friday. That should complete Gulch A, which you see in the left-hand window of the piers. They will then move the cranes over to the other Gulch B and start working on getting ready to set those girders. So work is going full tilt on the structures. Next, please. As I mentioned, the 145, Dolores, Rico, and Cortez heater repave is also ongoing. I know I was out there last Friday, and the heater repave operation was going on down around County Road G for those transitions into the concrete pavement section. That work will continue. I know they're still doing ADA ramps in both Dolores and Rico, so that work continues and will go through the fall. Upcoming projects, our Wolf Creek West Fiber project has been awarded. We expect to get construction started in June, which will take us through the summer and into the fall. It's going to include some ITS devices up on the pass. And then 160 McCabe Creek, that is our drainage project that has been on the books, and we've tried to advertise it at least once and got our funding pulled back, but we were able to use some of the recent federal stimulus funding that we got for the region and get the project out to ad. It is under ad currently with bids scheduled to be opened, I believe, next Thursday. So we keep our fingers crossed on that. Here in Durango in town, we've got the US 550 9th to 12th project. That project has also been awarded to Morton Electric. That will be doing some, again, more ADA curb ramps, some mill and fill. I believe it includes a hawk and some channelization in the center median. So that's scheduled to start here soon. Future project 172 and 318 just south of Ignacio. That's going to be an intersection improvement, widening existing roadway to provide a northbound left turn lane and a small median. It's still in design, but we hope to have that advertised still for construction in this summer. And is that it? Nope, one more. 550 and 30th Street, that's an RRFB. That work is currently still being designed, and we are working with the city on this to get the IGA in place, and we still hope to have construction in 2021. 160 West of Pagosa is our next surface treatment job outside of Pagosa, well, from in town to Pagosa Springs. Actually, we'll be tying into the McCabe Creek job and running west, and that will include a 1-inch surface treatment and some mill and fill and guardrail replacement. We expect to advertise that this fall for construction next year. 160 Four Corners to Aztec Creek is also currently under design. This is a project that we've got some Senate Bill 267 funding, as well as some of our surface treatment dollars, plus approximately $2 million from New Mexico DOT. They would like us to do their 0.8 of a mile stretch between Colorado and Arizona as part of the project, and they're going to contribute to, or actually they're going to fund their portion of that work. It is currently in design. We expect to have that constructed in 22. And then finally, our San Juan River Bridge Scour. That's at the last structure before you hit the state line. That's some scour protection for that structure. We're still working on design. We've modified the design, so we're tentatively scheduling that for 2023. I think that's it. So I'm open to questions.
I don't have any at all, Kevin. I think I asked all my questions last time we met. You know, the project down, the Aztec project down at the state line from milepost 0 to 8, you know, that's kind of a big deal to us. It does kind of complete that whole area down there on 160 in the state of Colorado, which is a great benefit to us coming into the state. So
Right.
Be great to see that go out to ad, and you think it'll go out to ad by the end of the year?
That's our plan. We believe we have the funding in place, so we're working on getting it out so we can construct it in 22 as a single season job. And you're right, Jim. We've been wanting to complete that last stretch since we completed the other sections. So yeah, we would like to get it done.
Right. And this is all coming from 267 money?
So we have 267 funding in there. We do have surface treatment dollars as well in there.
Okay.
And New Mexico's contribution.
Very good. Okay.
Okay, great. I also wanted to point out, Commissioner Sydney Zink did join us here too. She was a little late coming in, and Jamie Grimm, who is our, Jamie, do you want to introduce yourself so I don't butcher your title?
Hi all, my name is Jamie Grimm, and I'm a local government liaison with the Office of Policy and Government Relations.
Thank you, Jamie. And Carrie, I see you joined us as well.
Hello, I am the liaison to the statewide plan team, section of DTV.
Thank you, Carrie. Okay, Matt, do you want to take the reins next?
First, I'd like to go through our handout pretty quick, go over just the big topics for that, and then go through our 4-year plan. We have a GIS program to show that. We do need to be off the call within about an hour because we have another county meeting right after this one so we don't want to be late for that. And we want to provide time for all of your questions too. So I'll go through this information as quick as I can, and if you guys have any follow-up questions, please let me know and I can provide some additional detail. As Commissioner Candelaria, and I think all of the commissioners know, we recently wrapped up our 4-year and 10-year transportation plan in concert with the Southwest Transportation Planning Region. And the summary of all of those efforts are located on this website at the top, yourtransportationplan.com. That includes the regional transportation plan with the priority projects, and it really focuses on the 267 projects which came out of the TPR prioritization and planning process, and it shows the vision document and which projects are in the priority list for years 1 through 4, and then on the list for years 5 through 10. And each project has a story map, some pictures, additional fact sheets with information, and then report cards that show how the project is doing, along with an accountability and transparency tracking dashboard. So check out that website, take a look. If you see a project and have some additional questions, feel free to reach out to me and let me know if you have any questions or what those questions might be. As far as the region goes, this Did You Know stuff, it's been pretty consistent for a long time. We have 15 counties in the southwest Colorado with 2 tribal nations, about 350 full-time employees, including 46 maintenance patrols and 3 engineering regions. We have 16% of the state's highway lane miles, but we only have 3.6% of the state population. We have 15 mountain passes over 8,000 feet, so that adds a construction and maintenance challenge. A couple of rest areas, 228 bridges, and 5 Colorado scenic byways. And then on the second page, we have a chart showing Cdot Region 5 funding and how it has changed over the years, and especially what the impact of the legislative funding has been. Most of the funding increases in 2019 were due to Senate Bill 1 and Senate Bill 267. There's a little bit of grant funding shown in 2019, which increased from 2018, 2018 shows our base program. That's typically what we get on a normal year without additional sources of funding. So 2019 was a huge year for us with a lot of additional funding. That's how we funded our rural roads resurfacing program, our capital enhancement program, and a lot of other larger projects. And you can see that slowly tapering down over the next 4 years. In 2020, we received a number of large grants, along with a grant in 2021. But our program, without any additional input, will return back to that 2018 baseline. On the right of this chart, we have some of the key contacts. Pretty much everybody who was introduced earlier. We have emails, addresses, phone numbers. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to anybody on this list. And then on the bottom left, there's some additional contact information. Cotrip.org, of course, is a great website for road conditions. I check the road cameras all the time when I'm traveling. There is our customer service hotline too that you can call at 970-385-1423 with other types of questions. And then you can sign up for text and email alerts through coloradodot.info. And so I think that's all the information I want to share on this chart. Let me slide over our 4-year work plan. The maintenance projects are shown in red. We have the Dolores Rico Cortez heater repave in purple. You can see that there. And then the concrete rehab is shown in green. Current projects. There's more of the Cortez heater repave. The Montezuma County Paso Mesa Verde Phase 2 is shown here. And then this isn't mapped perfectly. We could have it a little more specific, but we're planning on a project in 2023 to repair culverts on US 160 at milepost 47, 49, and 69 throughout that stretch. And so this is a new GIS tool that we've been working on for a while. We can show, projects in our 4-year plan. We can show projects in our 267 4-year plan, the 5 through 10 267 list, also the regional transportation plan. We can look at things like traffic counts or drivability life, TPR priority projects, things like that. So if you have any questions, I'll bring this screen up again and we can show you the data that we have available. So I think that's it for all I have, unless there are any questions.
I don't have any right now, Matt. I mean, when we get to our questions down there, you might bring that map back up again, but I don't have any at this point in time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and move on if you guys are ready to the questions that you guys wanted to discuss with us or the issues you wanted to discuss with us. And Commissioner Candelaria, I'm happy just to turn it over to you to lead the conversation, or we can kind of go through the list that was submitted to us via Linda Marshauser.
We can start with the list, but then we have a couple of additional questions that have come up to us through our planning office. And I did send you an email on one of those, Julie, that refers to, I think, County Road 37 and Highway 184. But if we want to go through the list that was provided, and then we can get on to those.
Okay, that sounds great. So I'm going to share a map here. Okay, are you guys seeing a Google Maps map?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. You know, every program's a little different on how it shares. Okay, so on the list, we definitely had, you asked about a passing lane on Highway 145 between County Roads L and M. And I'm not recalling conversations on this one at all, so why don't you give us some background?
And Matt, jump in here and help me out, or Kevin. You know, when Commissioner Ertel, when I was brand new a couple of years ago, when we were trying to delineate all of the issues that we had around the county, obviously 491 was our biggest concern, and I think the color on that highway was mostly red at that point in time. There have been some additions of passing lanes south, north, and that's great. But as we start getting outside of the city, right here at L, from L to 160, it's a 5 lanes of traffic, and then it narrows right about just past the Elks Club, somewhere right in there, and then it widens back out into a turning lane at County Road M. We have there's the church there, the school. We have a rock shop or a business on the left, and it's pretty congested in that area. And we had somewhat talked about, I know I had talked to Mike, obviously he's no longer there, but is this, with the traffic counts that you guys have, is this any kind of a priority that we can, you know, look at again, or move up the line, or how is that, how will that work within the system in the 4-year plan?
And so, this is Matt real quick. The project is identified as a TPR priority. It was prioritized 19th out of 22 projects, but it's Commissioner Candelaria, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's identified as State Highway 145 widening from County Road L to County Road M.
That would be it, L to M, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So it is on the list, then on the statewide transportation plan list, which is a great place for it to be starting. And then as we get additional, so as you probably are aware, there's a transportation bill that's just been introduced in state legislature. And some of the purposes of that bill is to work on building projects that are identified in our statewide 10-year plan. So with this project being on the list, this would definitely be something that future funding could be applied to. In our current 4-year plan, it's not in the current 4-year plan, but it definitely would be a project that we would be keeping on the radar for those out years of funding as pots of money become available to us.
Okay. Do you see where the cursor, they can't see it? So at, I'm going to say it would be the Fairway Drive, and I'm not sure what the name of that store is there now, but
Yep.
It's just north of County Road L by 400 or 500 feet.
Mm-hmm.
That takes a lot of traffic, and then obviously everything north too. So let me ask you guys a question. I know you can't answer this, but I'm sure you've seen the new transportation bill that hit the legislature this week. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to read all the 190 pages of it, but
not the whole 190 pages, but I've been looking at some of the high points.
Nor have I, but I know that it's coming, and it was introduced by Senator Winters and Representative Gray. But would this, I know we're always fighting for funding down here because, like Matt said, you know, we only have, I think you said 3.9% of the population, but what do we need to do to help you guys also within the state legislature to get more funds allocated down here to some of these? And I realize they're smaller projects, whether it's just widening or an actual passing lane. How do we work together to get these things fixed or cured?
Well, in all honesty, step one is making sure we have it on the plan, like we talked about already. And then step 2 is working with our state legislature to make sure we're getting money allocated to projects in that plan. And my understanding with the legislation that has been introduced, granted I have not read the whole thing, part of the overall ultimate goal of that legislation is to generate enough revenue to build all the projects that we've identified in our 10-year plan. I can't tell you 100% right now that there is enough revenue for every single project in the plan, but I understand that was the intent based on what our headquarters team has been telling me. Was this transportation bill, if it actually goes through, would, over the next 10 years, would generate enough revenue that we could be building a lot of the projects in the plan. So, continuing to reinforce to our legislative representatives how important it is for transportation funding is really the best thing you guys can be doing.
Okay. So it is identified, obviously, and I was pretty sure that it was. So I guess we can go to the next question, Julie.
Real quick, Jennifer, are you on right now?
I am.
We have had some conversations recently with the city of Cortez about the intersection of 145 and Fairway and the property that's just to the west. And Jen, do you want to give a little synopsis on some of the conversations we've had there?
Yes. So as far as the property going across the street, the improvements there obviously didn't, or the use of that property and what they're developing there does not trigger highway improvements. In looking into it and talking to Phil Johnson with the city, we did realize that there were permits that were on Fairway Drive for the development back where I think Julie, is that yours, Julie's? Yeah.
Yep.
Spelling. Those permits required some auxiliary lanes to be put at Fairway Drive, but were never put in. So in talking to Phil, I think that it would be a good opportunity for possibly the city of Cortez and the county and Cdot to partner in possibly making these changes to make that intersection a little bit more safe. I think that also will help in your ask between L and N with some of that, or L and M with some of that traffic issue, some of those traffic issues you're seeing. We put together, Phil put together a pretty basic overlay of what that would look like. So it looks like there might be a little bit of widening there that would be required. So I don't think it's going to be a huge project, but I think it's something we could do as a partnership.
And as a partnership, Jennifer, what are you actually meaning? What do you obviously contributions?
Hopefully a three-way. I think Phil's been kind of talking about this, and Julie can probably speak to how long he's been talking about this. And we've looked at putting this into projects that are currently coming this way. And listening now to that transportation bill, maybe we can add it to that improvement, right? But the conversations have been going on for a couple years, and I think that we've been trying to, knowing the history of this and how the development happened without the improvements, I think it's a good time for maybe a three-way split if we could to address this issue.
Okay.
So you may be hearing more, Commissioner Candelaria, from the city of Cortez directly on this issue.
Okay, I'll reach out to Phil and see what his thoughts are.
Okay, great. Okay, let's see here. So moving on, we had, let's see, County Road, or yes, the intersections of 491 and County Road P and N. We are planning to stripe a left turn pocket in as you're headed northbound on 491 for County Road N. We have a contract put in place to have a company come in and remove the stripes for us, and then our internal crews will come in and actually do the striping. That is scheduled to happen here relatively soon. They were going to hit it at the very beginning of the striping season if they could. or that's the planning to hit at the beginning of the striping season, and we're right there right now. They're just starting to get the paint truck filled back up with paint and recalibrated and everything. So we should be seeing that improvement coming soon. County Road P, if you recall, the issue we have there is we have rumble strips very close to the intersection. And so to restripe at County Road P, it would require us to grind out rumble strips and patch those up to do the restriping. Mike Watson, correct me if I'm wrong, but do we have a grinder internal house that could do something like that?
No,
Okay.
I don't think we do.
Okay.
But I'll double check to make sure.
Okay. If we did have a grinder internally, we might be able to get that work done. If we have to hire a company to come in and grind out those stripes, I'm not 100% certain we've got the funding to make that happen, but that's something that I think you asked how much it would cost, Commissioner, and we haven't had a chance to put that together, but that's something we're keeping in. We're working on taking a look at and seeing if we could make that come to fruition this year.
Right, and that was just, you're talking the rumble strips on the, I guess would probably be the southbound lane, correct?
Yes, I think there's rumble strips near the white line on the shoulders on that intersection, if I recall correctly.
I think so, but I haven't been out there for a few days, so it's without, just off of my memory, I don't want to say yes or no, but.
Yeah. Well, what happens is when we have rumble strips, especially on the shoulders, when we come in to do a restripe or stripe in a left turn pocket, what we end up doing is pushing those white lines out further closer to the edge of the paved shoulder. Right. And if we have rumble strips there, then it forces the traffic onto those rumble strips, which is not a great solution, because then the people that live right there start complaining that they're getting rumble strips all the time.
Sure. No, I understand that.
Yeah, so we are still continuing to look into County Road P. I cannot officially guarantee it. We're doing what we can, but we're definitely going to be able to get in taken care of.
Okay.
Okay. You want to go ahead and talk about 491 from New Mexico to the Utah state lines?
I think, well, obviously, like I said, thank you for the improvements that we have gotten in the last couple of years. The passing lanes, which I actually just used this morning, north of Toyac, still are working out great, and that's a great addition. The traffic, or the passing lanes that were north out by basically south of Pleasant View or north of Areola, those actually are great there too. So 491, again, has been improved, and I greatly appreciate it, but you know, the truck count there is still as great as it always has been, and everything that we can do to increase that is appreciated. And that's really all I have for 491. I know that out of our county line going into Dolores County, I think was completed last year or 2 years ago. So that, as far as the resurfacing, you know, rides, and it's good.
Okay.
I think we can move over to 184 now, Julie, on that last email that I had sent you, and I think that's off of County Road 37.
Yes, it is. And Jen, do you want to go ahead and start? I'll get a map up here so we can have some visual to take a look at.
Sure. So this is near Summit Lake, and it looks like there's a bunch of developments back there. I guess there were two things that were brought to my attention. So we'll talk about County Road 37 specifically. So what I could find with our permits was that there was an original subdivision back there that went in prior to when the State Highway Access Code was put into play. And then it continued to build over the years. And it seems like there's 44 lots with 42 homes. Is that correct? Do you guys know? That's what our data is showing. It looks like it's pretty developed back there.
It has become pretty well filled in.
Were you going to say something, Commissioner?
I said I think you're correct. It has been pretty well filled in, but this kind of came up from our planning department, and I think Don Haley is also on here. But it's kind of to a lot that is south that has no access unless they do an A and D lane. And Don, just jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. And then at the turn up here, it's kind of a, if you can really zoom in on that turn and the way that's striped. And
Yeah.
I tried to define it in my email to you, Julie.
Yep.
So we reduced that passing lane, that passing zone. Well, we haven't done it yet. Sorry, it's on our striping crews to-do list for this year. So that'll be done this summer, and that's going to be reduced from milepost 18.0 to 18.3, which should bring us past that county road, the road 37. So that's on our list to do.
And is that pretty much in the area you were hoping that we'd turn it into a double yellow? Because I completely see your concerns, Commissioner.
I think you just went past 37 road, but
Yeah.
This is Don Haley, the planning director. It also needs to extend through a P.8 intersection as a double yellow.
Yeah, if we had a mile point up, I believe it does. Let me look for the email because I think April gave me a visual too. I can look into that while we're still discussing. Was that the main concern at Road 37?
that was one of the concerns off of that road. And then Don, we also had access from a lot that is south that basically I think we got a response back from Cdot that says they can't, there is no more access off of 37. So my question is that correct or is that incorrect, or what do we need to do to mitigate that to?
Okay. Yeah. So yes, that is correct. As it stands with a lot of the traffic coming from Mancus, a left turn decel is warranted currently. So again, this I think would be a great opportunity to complete that fix in some sort of, sooner than later, because it is already warranted. And I think that's probably where that answer is coming from.
It's not that development itself can't happen, but it's that if development is going to continue, an auxiliary left turn lane really needs to occur at that intersection.
So would that be just a striping issue again there, Julie, or?
Unfortunately, this highway is so narrow through here. We don't have room pavement-wise to work with restriping. So it means widening and it means adding asphalt. And the State Highway Access Code, in these types of cases, requires either the county or development to be the ones making these improvements.
Okay, so I guess Don, jump in again, or Joel, if I don't understand this properly. But so what had come to our planning department was a piece of property that has been to the south of the development basically this entire time, and now they've decided that they want to actually access and come out and use the property, and they're being denied access off of 37. So is there, I mean,
they're not, what they're being told is that so the State Highway Access Code, it allows the county, basically, because it's a county road that accesses the highway, so it's up to the county to require the access permit, which is the process it seems like we're going through right now. Mm-hmm. So, basically, it's the county and the developer, it would be the ones that are required to go ahead and build the auxiliary turn lanes to allow more development to continue in there. Now we've worked through this in other places where if the county wanted to continue to allow development back there because of the cost of putting the auxiliary turn lanes in, and the hardship that it would cause on one individual property owner, we have a way where we could work with the county to not require the auxiliary turn lanes, but then as safety issues continue to develop in these areas over time, it's really that burden of responsibility comes back to the county.
Okay,
It's not a great position to be in, but it's definitely something we could have a conversation with Don and the planning department about.
Okay, and that's probably something that we probably ought to continue on, and not necessarily in this meeting, because I know Matt said that you guys were going to be pressed for time. I want to address the other issue also, and this is going to be off of Highway 145, and I believe it's County Road 38.5,
Okay.
almost to the west fork of the Dolores, or just beyond that road.
Which county road again?
Highway 145,
In the county road?
38.5.
Okay.
Correct.
So it's up close north to the county border up
It's
there.
a couple hundred yards east of West Fork.
Okay. There's 38.1, 38.5. Okay, here we go. Alrighty. What's going on here?
So there are, we've been asked again here to split a 30-acre parcel into 3 10-acre lots, and I believe the gentleman is under, or has requested from you the access permit off of 38.5. So again, the way I understand this is within that 30-acre parcel, he's already allowed 2 traffic counts, one for primary and one for an auxiliary dwelling unit on that 30 acres. So splitting it up into 3 10-acre parcels would add 4 additional traffic counts, 1 primary and 1 auxiliary. So I guess to be able to tell our planning director and people coming in, because it is accessing CDOT's 145, what is the potential there of what they're going to have to do or to get mitigated?
Jen, do you want to take a stab? It's kind of hard without us knowing all the details and understanding all the uses currently back on that road just off the top of our heads, but go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, that would have been my response, honestly, Julie, was to, the best approach here is we can, definitely start talking to your planning department on what they're proposing. We do have an Excel sheet that we can run that kind of estimates trips and everything. That could get an idea of what kind of impacts that those improvements might have on that road.
Okay. And I can definitely have our planning director get with you, Jennifer, just to kind of show. But I guess my biggest question is, we didn't, as the county, put in for the access permit. It was, we waived that right and gave that to the owner because he's wanting to do the development. And I'm pretty sure he has submitted it. But I was just curious of the process just to help things move along for the people in the county.
There's, there's really, if the permit has been submitted, then it's probably in our access manager's queue. So what I can do is I can ask her to see where that is in the process, and I'll do that right now and see if I can get an answer before we get off this call.
Okay, and then you can, if you would also communicate with Don Haley, our planning director, that would be awesome.
Okay.
One real quick question I've got, and you don't have to answer it here, but both of these intersections are created from CDOT's old highways, entering their new highways. So I just wondered if the burden falls on the county for AC/DC lanes and upgrades, or in those actually were conditions that CDOT put amongst themselves at the time those highways were developed.
Once, the way our access code really works is it looks at these roads as technically county roads, and then it looks at development as it occurs along these county roads. And as the volume of traffic increases, it looks at warrants or basically, the needs for adding these types of auxiliary lanes. So technically, yes, it is the burden of either the county or the development that's occurring back on these county roads to be the ones putting the auxiliary lanes in. But I mean, as we work through these issues with you guys, we do try and keep an eye on these hot topic areas. As we bring projects through, if there's a way we can add some extra shoulder and a little extra widening on some of these projects, sometimes we do get some easy wins that way, where we're able to do some restriping and provide some improvements that way, like what we're doing with County Road Inn, for example. So we'll definitely keep these on our radar as projects come through these areas.
I guess for me as a commissioner, Julie, we, when these come in front of us for approval, we definitely don't want to approve something and then have somebody on the backside of us say, well, we can't do anything with it because of Cdot now. I mean, I'd like to try and get them handled up front, is kind of why we're having this conversation now, and I definitely, again, appreciate it. But
and usually my understanding is we are talking with the property owners and the planning department during the review process of it before it comes to the commissioners for approval. But correct me if I'm wrong, Don.
No, that is correct.
So it's usually a process we're kind of trying to work through while your planning department is taking a look at it before they bring it to you guys for approval.
Great. Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
So I just got the update on the permit. It sounds like she got it yesterday, so you guys were quick. She said there's about 15 ahead of it. So, and she, depending on how difficult those 15 ahead, it could be pretty fast. Joe usually works pretty fast, but I can keep an eye on that for you. For that 38.5.
Thank you, Jennifer. One other question on 145, Julian. I don't know if you can answer this question, but I'd had this conversation, I think maybe with you and Mike, for up the river as far as anything else happening development-wise. You talked about updating the access plan. Is that the proper terminology? And the study for that, is that?
It's talked about either an access plan or maybe a corridor vision plan or something along those lines. And that's definitely something we'd be more than willing to do, because I think you guys were looking at a land use plan potentially on up the valley there.
We were looking at some changes to the land use plan, but that's we made the changes that we were going to make at that point in time. But still, it would be good to know where properties can or cannot be even looked at. Obviously, we have a mountain on one side, a river on one side, and there's not a whole lot of room within that corridor. And if it can't, if anything cannot occur up there, it would be good to know that, to basically let the people know that that there is no room there.
So what we could do, so it sounds like you already have a land use plan for this area.
The Dolores River Valley, we do.
Okay. What we could look at is partnering with the county. We usually share costs 50-50 and bring a consultant in and have the consultant take a look at what the land use plan is identifying for future land use development through this area, and then line that up with obviously the county road intersections and put together some type of either an access control plan or like a document that would give us some direction and give the county some direction on, like you just said, what we could or couldn't do along the highway through there as development happens.
And if you guys are interested in doing that, you can contact me. We've got a lot of those started.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's a great planning document. It's a great planning tool. So as development does come in, the county and CDOT are kind of on the same page of what type of improvements would have to be made or wouldn't have to be made and that type of thing.
And Jennifer, if you can, or if you would, if it's something that you can do, just kind of a general cost of what that might cost as far as in its entirety, and then the 50-50 split.
So I can actually provide that information. We just went through it recent enough that it probably wouldn't change as much. But it was a 50-50 would be about $24K each for the access control plan to have the developer or to have the consultant do that. The timeline for that, so I guess the process is we'll enter into an IGA, and then the timeline to actually complete an access control plan can be between 1 to 2 years, and that's highly dependent on the ownership along the corridor and communications and the public outreach. And then once that access control plan is signed and accepted, then basically implementation of that, like kind of Julie mentioned, is up to us and you guys to kind of take on as either you have projects or developments that hit that area or we do to implement those changes.
Okay. Well, that answers that question. Thank you.
Awesome.
That's probably everything we had on the list, Julie.
Okay. That sounds good. We appreciate your time today. We'll definitely be getting back to you on several of these issues, County Road P for sure, and any progress we can make there. Commissioner Zink, did you want to add anything at this point?
No, not really, except that to remind you that I'm got 2 months to go. So if you have any ideas of a good representative for Southwest Colorado on the Transportation Commission, now's the time.
Gosh.
They are accepting applications if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. I will ask Rob, our Road and Bridge Superintendent, if he had any highlighted items, Rob, that stuck out in your mind that we haven't covered.
No, I think we covered the questions I had on Road and Mary or Nancy and P on 491. So.
Okay. All right. Julie, I'll
Thank you, guys.
We'll keep looking at P Road because that one is pretty significant to the west. I mean, it would be great to see that get completed too, and I realize that you have to do some grinding and filling there, but we'll keep our eyes and ears open for a small grinder too.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Glad to have worked with you.
Yeah. Thanks, Sydney. Enjoy your retirement.
I will.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.